Well, you take your wisdom where you can get it. And this morning, you get a little bit from Eric Idle of Monty Python fame. Listen carefully. Perhaps next week we'll sing it as a community song. Whenever life gets you down, Mrs. Brown, and things seem hard or tough, and people are... Is that F sharp minor? Thank you, F sharp 7, that's what I wanted. We had this worked out in advance. Whenever life gets you down, Mrs. Brown, and things seem hard or tough, and people are stupid, obnoxious, or daft, and it seems that you've had quite enough, just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour, that's orbiting at 19 miles a second, so it's reckoned a sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that we can see are moving at 1,000,000 miles a day in an outer spiral on at 40,000 miles an hour in a galaxy we call the Milky Way. Our galaxy itself contains 100 billion stars. It's 100,000 light years side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us it's just 3,000 light years wide. We're 30,000 light years from galactic central point. We go round every 200 million years, and our galaxy is only one of millions and billions in this amazing and expanding universe. The universe itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can whiz. As fast as it can go, the speed of light, you know, 12 million miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. So remember when you're feeling rather small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth. And pray that there's intelligent life somewhere out in space, 'cause there's bugger all down here on Earth. Just pray that there's intelligent life somewhere out in space, 'cause there's bugger all down here on Earth.
I'm so glad you joined us today. That makes you a part of CSLDallas, and we love that our community continues to grow. And we also love to give great spiritual content. And a way that you can participate in our community is financially give to it. It's easy to do so. Go to CSLDallas.org and hit the give button. Or you can set up a text giving mechanism at 972-954-4404, a safe and secure way to send us money whenever you watch a great message like this. So thanks for giving, and buckle up, because here comes the spiritual content.
thank you, Joe, for that enlightening science lesson. Yes, see, you are here. You are here. Just in case you needed, the map. Just in case you wanted to know on Earth Day what's going on. Do you like my Earth Day advertisement? These are Monet painted wellies, I want you to know. Purchased especially for Earth Day, because while we live in this expanded universe, yeah, this is our planet, isn't it? And so we've been talking about the cosmic self, the Christ consciousness. And today we're going to talk about Jesus, Buddha, and quantum physics and what in the world that has to do with Earth Day. Because it's lovely, right? It's lovely to think about how amazing it is out there in the universe, and we spend a lot of time in the absolute. We spend a lot of time talking about enlightenment and our cosmic reality. Yeah. But so far, we're sort of stuck on this planet, at least for the time being. Ernest Holmes says this: the kingdom of God on earth is as real as the kingdom of God in heaven, because heaven is here when we see it. This kingdom of heaven includes our physical body, our physical environment, and everything we are doing that is good, just, and right. He goes on to say that this body, the physical universe, is a concrete manifestation existing in time and space for the purpose of furnishing a vehicle through which life may express itself. So this planet, which is revolving around the sun, which is in the galaxy that is expanding, in the universe that is growing, all of this is a vehicle through which life may express itself. The physical universe is the body of God. It is the manifestation in form of the mind of God. And this manifestation of spirit is necessary if spirit is to come into self-realization. So the whole point of this expanding universe that Monty Python lectured us on is this expanding universe. And so, yeah, so this is what we do today as scientists and as school kids, right? As we measure the planet and we say how big it is and we say how far it is from the sun, and we do all these measurements, and, they're pretty impressive and they're pretty amazing. But it's only one way for us to look at what's really going on. The problem with our scientific understanding of the universe is that it's designed to catalog things. Oh, yes, we can describe them, but more importantly, we can catalog them. And we can say, this is this, and this is that, and that is that, and so now I can pretend that I understand it. And by cataloging it and by describing it, I put it over there in a box, and I say, oh, that's a planet. Oh, that's a star. Oh, that's a tree. Oh, that's a person. As if I actually knew what those things really are. And of course, our scientific understanding was built on, in the Western tradition, this rather annoying sentence that we have struggled with for 2,000, maybe even 4,000 years. The idea that humankind, let's be specific, man, was given dominion over the earth. Yeah, we're not really sure what to do about that, are we? We don't really know. Dominion. Yeah, and so, dominion has so many different flavors to it, unfortunately, because of this scientific cataloging and describing that has become the way in which we engage in the physical universe. Dominion has basically meant that we have use of this dead matter. This thing over here that we can dig up, or that we can cut down, or that we can use in some form or fashion. And when we are not paying attention and we think it's here exclusively for our use, of course, then it falls over into exploitation. And we exploit the resources of the planet just, for our own benefit. But dominion, the etymology of the word dominion, interestingly enough, actually means to care for, in the context of to be responsible for. So when human beings were given dominion over the planet, or let's not say God gave us dominion, what we discovered is that we impact the planet. We discovered that we could cut down trees, and we could create fire, and we could plant things where we wanted them to plant. And we discovered that we could actually engage in this thing that we called wild, and we could cultivate it and domesticate it, and that we were responsible for that. Do you see, fundamentally, that responsibility grew out of an even deeper understanding from the prehistorical times when humanity found itself or felt itself to be at home. The universe was its home, was our home. The forests and the trees and the lakes and the rivers and the oceans, they were just considered our home. And we lived here, and we cared for, and we had relationship with the aliveness of the planet in all of its very unique and wonderful expressions. Today we have an academic word, we call that animism. And it's usually said with a bit of a, well, they're just primitive, you know. But that animism is a deep and abiding understanding that the oneness that we speak of from a spiritual point of view is equally as true from a physical point of view. This is all the manifest body of God. Unfortunately, because Adam learned to name it, and we learned to have dominion over it, and then we learned to catalog it, much of our advancement through religion and through science has caused us to separate ourselves from life as it is expressed. How many of us prefer that 72 to 74 degree comfort level, and we don't want it to go down to 68, and God forbid it should get over 80. I'm too hot, I'm too cold, I'm too wet, I'm too dry. You know, that's life happening. And we have become separated from it. Yeah, so, you know, thinking about this, Jesus and Buddha and quantum physics, what do they have to do with it? Well, first of all, let's get real. What is the very first miracle Jesus created? Water into wine. Hello, at a party. Okay, his mom said, hey, they were running out of the wine. This is not good. He said, well, I'm really not supposed to be doing this yet. And she said, come on, we're having so much fun. And what did he do? He turned it into the best wine that they had had all night. He didn't say, oh, this is not spiritual. He turned it into fabulous wine. Because this is the manifest body of God. Remember, Ernest Holmes says, heaven is here. The kingdom of heaven is here. It's not just within. It's actually here. It's actually how we see it and how we be with it. Jesus did say we are in this world, but not of it. We tend to focus on the but not of it part. We forget the we're in this world. We are in this world. And pre-Jesus, Buddha went out, and if you know the story of Siddhartha Gautama, he went out, he left his palace, he went out and he saw people dying and suffering, and he said, oh, this is terrible. And so he decided that the physical world was bad and wrong and terrible, and we didn't know what we were doing with it. And so he followed the deep, deep, deep ascetic traditions in the Buddhism, which in the Catholicism that I grew up is called mortification of the flesh. Remember that part? Those of you who grew up in that? That is the denial of the flesh in its most extreme. At one point, it is said that the Buddha was living on 1 bean a day. He was simply seeking so much to de-emphasize the physical that he would achieve enlightenment. And what happened instead is he just about died. And a woman found him, took him into her home, basically fattened him back up again. They fell in love, they got married. And he thought, well, that didn't work, so this must be the thing to do. So he went into this life with a vengeance. And he became, a wonderful father. He had children. He learned all about all that procreation stuff. And he became a very, very wealthy merchant. He made all kinds of money, and he did all kinds of stuff. And then he went, I'm not very much more enlightened here either. And so what did he do? He went off, and he sat under the Bodhi tree. And he sat under the Bodhi tree, and he listened to the river speak. For however long that took for him to sit under the Bodhi tree and listen to the river speak. And it was in the speaking of the river that he heard the voice of life itself. And he became enlightened. And what did he teach out of that enlightenment? The middle way. The middle way, not the extreme, not greed and profit for its own sake, nor so spiritual that I ignore or make this physical manifest body wrong or try to transcend it or get away from it or overcome it. But the middle way, that means I am in this world and I know who I am and I show up as fully integrated and as fully present. Right speech, right action, right work, all of those aspects of the middle way. Neither purely seeking pleasure nor renouncing the world brought enlightenment, but actually the living of life, right? The full embodied living of life. And so, here we come now to our time and a whole new science that has been breaking out. A whole new idea of science. Actually, what they've discovered in quantum physics is that you actually can't catalog anything because you can't tell how fast it's going at the same time as you can figure out where it is. Now, is that just the weirdest thing? Right? You can either tell how fast it's going or you can figure out where it is, but you can't actually do both of those things at the same time. It completely changes our understanding of the space-time continuum. And so, what does quantum physics remind us of but the mystical teachings? That this is actually all one. There's only one thing happening here, and that is life coming into form, coming into itself, coming into expression. And our quantum scientists, they use these rather remarkable words like oneness, intelligence, and, God forbid, consciousness. That when you look into the quantum field, you see consciousness, just as if you look into the galaxies, the astronomers have said the same. Consciousness, intelligence. And what is that but aliveness? In deep ecology, where we heard both Sherry and Karen talk about Gaia, Mother Earth. In deep ecology, this is a reclaiming of this aliveness, that this planet that we're standing on isn't just rocks and stones, but actually Gaia means a living organism, something that has its own aliveness and its own consciousness. And yeah, and Earth is actually our mother, as was said. And so it feels to me a little bit like she's saying to us, and men in the room, I hope you will forgive me. I think she's saying to us, sorry boys, but you got to clean up your room. Because, you know, deep ecology comes out of eco-feminism. And eco-feminism has been over and over and over again relegated to that women's agenda. It's made in our politics and in our power conversation, it's made soft. You know, that's the women's agenda. But what do women do other than care for the home? Raise the children and make it safe for them to grow. Oh yes, we've learned how to go out into the world, and we've learned how to create, and men have joy-filledly come into the home. So it's no longer about men and women. It's about the idea that we actually care for our homes. We raise our children. And we talk about what is it that you want to be in the world and how are you going to become it. And so when we think of humans as having dominion, Mother Earth has given us a room, a home, and are we taking care of it? You know, there's some truth to that when they said everything we needed to know we learned in kindergarten, right? Clean up after yourself, put your crayons away, don't leave the trash, share, make sure everybody has enough that they can play with. All of these things that we learned, care for your things and care for each other. You can't just bop him on the head and take his toy, right? I mean, this is what we were taught in kindergarten. And if we really understand this unity, this oneness, that this is our mother, I'm concerned she's about ready to bop us on the head. Take away our toys. Are we making a home collectively? Are we making a home here as we would make a home for our own families? So this is a return. This is a return to a recognition that life, okay, I'm going to say a really stupid, obvious sentence. Life is alive. Life is alive. Life, all life, every life, not just our life, all life is alive. And it is here to express, it is here for spirit to express. What did Ernest Holmes say? The manifestation of spirit is necessary if spirit is to come into self-realization. The point of this whole thing is for life to wake up to itself as us, as any sentient being that can look at life and go, wow, that's an interesting thing that's going on here. Are my choices making a home, or are my choices not caring for it? What are my choices, and what am I creating? And so we as awakened human beings, we stand as a part of this aliveness, the beauty and the grandeur of Earth itself. We stand witness to this aliveness, and we can co-create with it. So this is why at CSLDallas here, we're a green community. We try to align the way that we are in the world. We try to have it be congruent with our values. And if we value that our understanding that it's all one, then that shows up as a value of care and a value of understanding. We choose our values rather than to be cheap or convenient. Our culture has come to value convenience over pretty much everything else. It's inconvenient to take your own bags. It's inconvenient to make sure you have a reusable water bottle. It's inconvenient not to use a straw. These things are all inconvenient. It's inconvenient that I require us to use our dishwashers and to use our dishes. And yet, do you see, it's in alignment with our values. And that's ultimately, fundamentally, what we're asked to do on Earth Day. We're asked to examine, is our life in alignment with our values? It's as simple as that. No shame, no blame, just choices. Just an opportunity to see what our choices are and how they impact us and how they impact the world. And do you see, when we move into that place, we completely reclaim the beauty of the earth, the beauty of the wholeness in which we live, and just how wonderful it is. So I'd like to close by asking Joe to come up here with the band and sing what is probably my most favorite song.
red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yeah.
Whew. That's it, right? That's it. That is it. To be able to look out at each other, at our planet, and see, thank you, and see it, and see that beauty and that wonder. And do you see, we are actually a part of it. We are. We're not bad. We're not broken. We're actually not stupid. We're just learning, and we're growing. And together, we really have the opportunity, not of denying our science and all of the things that we've learned, but do you see, balancing it with the wonder and the recognition of the aliveness of life. And to have that open, connected, heartfelt relationship. And so, yeah, so I'm wearing my crazy boots so we can go pick up plastic. And every time I go into the grocery store, or actually any store at all, whether I have my reusable bags or not, I say, no plastic, please. Let's save the planet. I don't know if that's going to make a difference to that person or not. But if one person hears it and one person makes a change, then that will make a difference. Amen. Yeah. And if one person, if you bring a reusable water bottle to work, you don't have to say anything. It's not about shaming people. It's not about blaming people or making anybody wrong. It's just modeling. It's living our values in alignment with the integrity of what we know to be true. So take your reusable water bottle and watch as people watch you. And all of those little acts that we do, every single little act, it makes a difference because we live in a wonderful world. Joe, I can't thank you enough. You better pray.
I better pray? She says I better pray. Well, come up here. Stand up here, basket case. It's okay. Why don't we stand and take the hand of the people next to us? Play a little something there, Scott, please. So I invite us to bring the awareness and the love and the joy and the peace as Mother Earth into our hearts. This little blue marble that has sustained and maintained so much. That in this galaxy, that's one of a trillion galaxies, life chose this blue and green, circular, round thing to bring forth this life. And so we recognize this one life, we recognize this one love, we recognize this one power, that which is always and forever unabashedly giving to itself so fully, so freely, so exquisitely, that the species and the plants, the stars, the little babies crawling on the grass, that everything here thrives as life itself. And we are a key part of that thriving, each of us. So as life is, we are. As God is, I am. And we each are this exquisite expression of the magnificence of life itself showing up right here and right now for a time such as this. As Sherry Wood said, we are the ones. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And so it's the little actions that ripple massive effects. As Don Prokop came up with a new product to have utensils and straws and chopsticks anywhere you go, so you can say, no plastic, please, when you walk into any restaurant that offers. When we go into a grocery store, a CVS, whatever it is, we say, I got my own bag, thank you very much. As the cities continue to say no to plastic, to straws, to whatever it is, and to yes to solar and to wind, and to all of these great, great, magnificent creative ideas. There are car companies that in the next few years are going to have no gas in the automobile. We are the ones, so that we can breathe in this clean air and breathe out love. As we can breathe in joy, breathe in and breathe out the givingness of life itself. We know that from this generation to the next generation to the next generation, we don't even have to want to leave this beautiful blue marble, because it loves us, we love it. We sustain it, it sustains us. And this is a world that works for everyone. And the time is now. And so it is.